Schefter. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson underwent surgery Thursday after tearing his Achilles again. And his status for the 2025 season now in jeopardy per league sources. He met Thursday with Dr. Robert Anderson before undergoing the surgery, and he tore his right Achilles tendon October 20th, marking the second straight year that's ended his
season. Let me
season.
say this. First of all, I wish him nothing but good health. I'm not rooting against the brother. He's been through a lot of it self-inflicted. We don't need to go there, but it's good to see him on the field. It was good to see him on the field ready to do what he's supposed to do. And then he played, and he didn't look good. Maybe he need the whole year off to get his act together so he can get back to being a football player.
Then that's a lot of years and not playing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
A lot of money.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But
remember,
you know
he
something?
got the most guaranteed
he
money
looked
ever?
so bad playing the game of football that that brother need to be 100% on every level in order to get back to what we saw in Houston years ago.
Yeah. Did I mention that he was a C1N athlete too?
Oh.
Coming out of Georgia?
Okay.
Really?
All right.
Gainesville, Georgia?
Yeah.
But anywho,
Right.
man, D-Watt, get healthy.
Get healthy.
And come back like we know that you can, bro.
All right. First off, you hear that news and your reaction is what?
I was shocked because he tore it once, and I was confused as to why it was news again. But it turns out he has torn it again, and that creates all sorts of issues, right, Emily? Because number one, Deshaun Watson has not played well as a member of the Cleveland Browns from the moment he signed with the team, and his career's been injury riddled in Cleveland, and we know about the issues beforehand in Houston, and it just feels like maybe the football gods are trying to tell us something in terms of what the Browns need to do in terms of moving on. They did restructure Deshaun's deal recently to spread out the cap hit in one of the, if not the worst contracts in recent NFL history for sure. And now the issue becomes what's plan B or C or D going to be, because a year ago, Joe Flacco literally got off a couch, played the final month and a half, 2 months with the Browns, and helped get that team to the playoffs. This year, when Deshaun Watson went down, Jameis Winston came in and provided a momentary spark and started making some turnovers and throwing interceptions, and he was replaced by Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who didn't play truly inspired football. And I think with the Bailey Zappi playing a little bit in Week 18, the bottom line is this. You have the number 2 overall pick. Myles Garrett, the best player on that team and one of the best players in the NFL, wants to know the direction of the franchise, and you're probably going to have to take a quarterback. And I think maybe this latest injury with Deshaun Watson, if it hadn't already, makes that even clearer as we look towards the draft here in about 100 days, Emily.
Yeah, Ryan, usually when we're talking to you this time of year, it's to talk about the NFL draft, and this will have implications on what the Browns plan to do, as you said, with that number 2 overall pick. You currently have Shedeur Sanders from Colorado mocked to them. What do you think about that potential fit?
I love it. I don't know if the Sanders family is going to be wild about the idea of going to an organization that has been dysfunctional for virtually since returning to Cleveland in 1999. So that's going to be one of the big talking points going forward. I don't know if the Browns will come out at any point in the next few months and say, hey, we have to take a quarterback. We're going to have to move on from Deshaun Watson and the consistent injuries, but the other talking point is going to be, what does Coach Prime and Shedeur Sanders want to do? Because Coach Prime has made it clear that he's going to have some say on where his son ends up. He said, I'm not going to put people on blast publicly, but I will have conversations privately. And same thing that Eli Manning did back in 2004 in the Manning family, that said we're not going to the San Diego Chargers. Chargers drafted him anyway. He ended up in New York with the Giants and won 2 Super Bowls. So we'll see how this plays out, and I wouldn't begrudge anyone for having concerns about going to an organization like Cleveland that can't seem to get out of its own way. So that I understand. Now, maybe this problem's solved as Shedeur Sanders goes first overall, Emily, and then the Cleveland Browns can take Cam Ward, for example. But we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. So this creates a lot of intrigue in terms of what happens at the top of the draft. And unlike last year, there are only really 2 quarterbacks that are probably going to be first-round picks. Last year we had 6 in the top 12. So just something to look forward to as we get to April 24th here, looking ahead to the spring.
Yeah, quite a few quarterback-needy teams. Not a whole lot of quarterbacks, though, available. So, Ryan, if it's not Shedeur Sanders at number 2 to the Browns, who else could potentially be the future at the quarterback position?
Oh, sweet Lord, I don't know. That is a huge issue. So, look, if you're not going to take a quarterback at 2 because you can't, or maybe you're just not crazy about the quarterback class, Travis Hunter is a layup. you take Travis Hunter and it gets fans excited. You still have to figure out the quarterback situation, and maybe there's a bridge quarterback you're thinking about. Justin Fields is going to be a free agent. Do you want to go down the Kirk Cousins trail? Should that not no longer be a situation where he's going to be playing in Atlanta, and it doesn't look like he's going to be? There's not a lot to choose from in terms of free agents to be. I don't know if there are going to be trade candidates out there of teams that want to move on from veteran quarterbacks. Daniel Jones could be a possibility. I don't know how much that excites you. So there'll be some options, not great options. They'll be sort of in the range of the Jameis Winstons and Joe Flacco's we saw the last 2 years. You could also trade down and allow a team to move to get one of these quarterbacks that perhaps would want to go to that organization. But it allows you to stockpile picks if you're the Browns. And they have several needs. They don't have as many needs as some of these other teams picking at the top of the draft, like the Titans, for example, or even the Patriots who picked number 4. But they could certainly use some warm bodies. And then that was sort of what Myles Garrett was getting at when he said, I want to know the direction of this franchise before I continue to subject myself to 18 weeks of this year in and year out. I would think the Browns would want a quarterback. They have to convince whoever that quarterback might be that the Cleveland situation is not as dire as it seems, and they are on the right track. Kevin Stefanski is a great offensive coach. It's crazy to think that he was so good that he won Coach of the Year last year and helped get that team to the playoffs, because there's been so much dysfunction over the last 4 or 5 months. So there's a lot to do, not a lot of time to do it in, Emily, and the Browns got to get this thing right, because we know what not having a quarterback looks like, and it's been hard to watch, even with Deshaun Watson fully healthy.
Next year, though, we bring on Jonathan Jones to discuss more of this news. Just first off, what are you hearing about Watson?
Yeah, it's a very, very unfortunate setback here for Deshaun Watson. We heard from Andrew Berry a few days ago, who said that Deshaun Watson had suffered a setback in his recovery from that October Achilles surgery, but he didn't really offer any other details. And now, of course, we learned that it was another rupture, which it does happen sometimes. I know we don't really hear about it all that often, but the Achilles is such a tendon that can be vulnerable to such a thing. It is unclear how this took place, stepping off the bed during, some sort of rehab. I don't know, but ultimately, and certainly the most important thing here is that this resets the clock for Deshaun Watson. That if you're talking about what an average recovery time is for one Achilles surgery, it's somewhere in that 7 to 8 month range. We've seen guys come back from it as quickly as 4.5 or 5 months, but those are very, very rare cases. A lot of times what you see is guys not really getting back to 100% full health for another year, right? About 12 months or so. So it can go anywhere in between there, but the sort of safe estimation is 7 or 8 months. Well, here we are right now in January, and you add that on to this year, you don't know if Deshaun is going to be able to play at all in 2025. This now certainly confirms that he will not be available for week 1 for much, if any, of training camp. And so, again, a very unfortunate setback for Deshaun Watson and a very consequential year for him and the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, we've seen quarterbacks struggle to come back from one Achilles injury. I can't imagine how challenging it is for 2. That's the medical side of things. Contractually, though, he, of course, reworked that historic contract he signed back in 2022 earlier this year. So does it have any sort of injury clause for all of that guaranteed money? How does that affect this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, the Browns, when they signed Deshaun Watson, took out a very hefty insurance policy. I don't want to bore the viewers, but I want to sort of explain that the insurance policy will allow the Browns, if he does not play a down of football in 2025, if he cannot recover to play for the Cleveland Browns in the regular season in 2025 or the postseason, the Browns would be able to recoup about $44 million or so in salary cap space in 2026. Deshaun Watson's still going to be paid his contract. He is still due about $92 million in guaranteed money. That money will be paid on time. That is not changing for when his direct deposits hit. But for the Browns, if he's unable to play in 2025 because of the insurance policy they took out on Deshaun Watson a while ago, they would be able to get some salary cap relief in 2026. Now, Well, we're still far away from 26. We're here in 2025 and preparing for the season. That contract restructure that you mentioned just a bit ago, what that is able and what that is sort of helping the Browns do is spread out his cap hits over the next couple of years. And so that will allow the Browns to stay competitive in 2025 by re-signing some of their own players, potentially signing some free agents, making Myles Garrett and Joel Bitonio, two veterans who had voiced concerns about the direction of the franchise. Well, hey guys, don't worry. We have some cap space. We're going to be able to be competitive in 2020.
Prepare yourself. Be ready. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. You don't look too good. I get that, brother.